Hello, welcome to this very special edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting live here at the famous Birdland Jazz Club here in New York City. Blessing the band stage this week, organist Joey DeFrancesco reinvented himself, and he has a brand new group called The People, which features Jason Brown on drums, Troy Roberts on tenor and soprano saxophone, as well as Dan Wilson on guitar. Now, their brand new record, their debut record on Mack Avenue Records, is entitled Project Freedom. He goes deep and hard on some very traditional standards as well as a lot of originals. Now, we've known Joey for the last 30 years, and he's played with the trio, and sometimes he's played with big band ensembles. But tonight, I had a chance to sit down and break bread with all the members of The People, as well as Joey, to talk about this brand new direction musically that they're going, as well as reflect on what it's like playing as a quartet. So sit back, relax, and enjoy highlights of the official New York record release performance party for Joey DeFrancesco and The People, performing music from their new album, Project Freedom, on the Mack Avenue Records imprint, here at Birdland as part of the Pace Report here in New York City. You know, Joey, we've done this is our third one together. You did the big band project here at Birdland a couple of years ago, and we've done a trio piece. This is a quartet, and the music that I've heard is just phenomenal on this.
Oh, thank you, man. Thanks a lot, Brian.
Tell me about the concept of this new band.
Well, the concept, we've been traveling as a trio, me, Dan, and Jason, for the last 2 years. And middle of last year, or beginning of last year, I decided I want to add a tenor to a fourth voice to the group. And we went in the studio and recorded. And Jason, actually, the drummer, he recommended Troy to me. He gave me a list of guys here in the city, and I checked them. I went to the list and checked Troy out first. I didn't go any further than that. I was satisfied with that. Killing. And then we went in the studio. I wrote some very specific music. I had something very specific in mind for this project, an actual group name, because it's always been Joey DeFrancesco Trio or something like that. And this is Joey DeFrancesco and the People. And that represents everybody, not just the band, people listening too, and the world. And the project is called Project Freedom. And all the music that I wrote was geared towards that type of situation.
You know, jazz to me has always been about liberation and freedom. And, you have definitely been part of the tradition moving forward. There's some very interesting compositions that you do. You do a song that's definitely very prevalent within the African American community, Lift Every Voice and Sing. I want to ask you what that song means to you and what this means to the group.
Well, that song has always been very special to me. And I learned it when I was a kid. And I remember going back that I was in high school and, nobody knew it, and I knew it. I said, I know it, I'll play it, so we played, and it goes back to then. And then a few years ago, in 2002 to be exact, it was the Detroit Jazz Festival, and something moved me to play it, It was an encore. I looked at my drummer, I said, let's play this, let's play Lift Every Voice. And what went on that day, the way people reacted, the feeling that was in the air, I mean, people were standing up with their hats off, and everybody was holding hands. It was an overwhelming experience, man. And the promoter from the gig hugged me after and said, you don't know what you just did for Detroit. And I felt so honored. I get choked up when I talk about that. And it was something that I did many times when I would play in Detroit after that. And I never got around to recording it. And this was the perfect time to do it. For a lot of reasons, not just because of, the whole reason for the project is something that from my travels and being around and the current state of things, and being all over the world, and notice that when you play music, everything's cool. It's a peacemaker, no matter what's going on, regardless of what's happening, music is always a unifier with people, hence this project. To try to do, because I always felt that as musicians we were doing that. We were spreading peace everywhere with our music, but it felt it was time to take it a step further and make a bigger statement about that, and that's the whole reason for this group, for the music and what we're doing. The freedom with the music, also with the people, and everybody being unified as one.
Jason, you are a part of this new quartet, and Joey DeFrancesco always, in the history of, I guess, since he started playing, he's always put himself around great musicians. What has been the most important part of this quartet moving forward?
Wow, man, you started off with a heavy question at the very beginning. Moving forward, well, I think the message of the music is the most important thing. You know, it's and that is to try to promote and to bring unity, you know, and good vibrations and peace through music. You know, I think that's a big part of it for all of us, and especially for Joey. You know, as evident by the title of the record, Project Freedom. And so, I think that's the most important thing, is if we can get to as many places and people as we can to promote that message of peace and unity.
Jazz to me has always been about freedom and liberation, and Joey has been very music forward with the B3 because he always plays music of his generation, but he always pays respect to the elders. And what were some of the things that you went into this recording as far as music, as far as how you wanted to play this music?
Well, you know, it's very interesting because, you know, typically the organ drum roll has a very specific connotation in people's minds, and it's usually a very simplified, straight to the point groove related style of drumming. And while I love that style of drumming, there's many ways to play every kind of engagement. And in this particular situation with this music, I really wanted to see if I could kind of change some of the perceptions that are commonly associated with the organ. You know, Joey wrote some very adventurous and challenging music, and I thought it would be I'd be remiss if I didn't try to address some of the complexities in that music with the kind of shift to maybe, I don't want to say modern, but just maybe a little more progressive outlook on how I wanted to play those tunes. You know, I didn't want to sit back and kind of just groove, so to speak. I really wanted to push it, a la, you know, maybe say like a Elvin Jones or a Tony Williams kind of shift, but specifically to this organ group. You know.
What about the other members of the quartet? What are some of the things that you guys fed off of during this? Because, you know, again, you know, I always associate Joey with the trio, and he's expanded one person, and now it's like you said, it's a kind of adventurous. You moving further.
Well, you know, Joey's, you know, you mentioned it earlier, you know, he's always kind of reflecting upon the older school and past generations, and one of the qualities that brings is that he's, you know, he has an attitude that's very reminiscent of classic band leaders, you know, so he's always kind of promoting, you know, shenanigans and fun times. So I think the biggest growth that we have is just getting to know each other and the camaraderie we've built through joking around and finding common ground outside of music, you know, just in things that might seem light and not related to music, but then when you get on the bandstand, that extra level of intimacy creates, you know, it kind of gives you a better insight into where everyone's going to go, you know. So that's as far as, you know, how the band is moving in that way. You know, it's great. You know, he's a great leader. That's the best way I can answer that. He's a great leader, and it's his charisma and the way he's kind of trying to, you know, he's encouraging. We've been together 2 years with me and Dan Wilson. The Troy's a new addition, and already he feels like he's, you know, we've been with him for a year or two anyway because of that promotion of camaraderie and you know, very lightheartedness in the band.
Joey, this is a brand new ensemble that Joey has put together, and you guys are really moving music forward with this. Tell me some of the things that you're bringing to this new ensemble.
Well, that's a kind of a difficult question. I guess I come from a lot of different influences, and I'm bringing whatever I got. But for me, it's exciting to be able to tap into I guess a bit of my musical upbringing that I haven't yet really had a chance to unleash, and that is all the music of Stanley Tarantine and Jimmy Smith that I really, really love and adore. And Joey's now provided an avenue for me to kind of dip into that part of my musical upbringing. And, you know, I'm trying to bring whatever else it is I do to the bandstand, and it's funny, it's called Project Freedom, and I feel so free in this band because anything I do, anything I play, Joey's right there, and the band too, Dan Wilson and Jason Brown, they're just, they got big ears and nothing escapes them, and I can play whatever I want and just feel so free, you know. And Joey's also, you know, he's right in there, he's pushing me in ways I wouldn't think of on my own, and he's also really encouraged me to bring my effects unit, which is, I never expected that, and he's really open-minded, and I guess I'm bringing that to the band too, some electronics, some different sounds.
You know, Joey has always surrounded himself with a plethora of great musicians, both on the band stage as well as the recording studio. What was it like going into the studio with the seasoned veteran now? Because Joey came in as a young lion, and now, you know, he's formed his own niche in the jazz community, in the jazz world.
Yeah, it was daunting going into the studio. I mean, I grew up listening to Joey on records, and it was a pretty exciting but kind of stressful time, you know. I knew it was going to be a really important album. We rehearsed, and the music and the concept behind this album is a very strong musical statement, and I think human beings at their best are able to hear intent, and the intent here is not just some business ploy with some carefully crafted song titles. The music is really a strong statement, and Joey's put a lot into this, and it's a really important project. So yeah, it was kind of daunting being in the studio, but we were so busy creating and playing music together and having fun. It's now that I know that it's so important, and it's turned out to be a great record, and it's seriously going to make some waves, that I think, wow, maybe I should have been more nervous. You know?
You know, going from the recording studio to the band stage now, tonight here at Birdland, you guys have played some dates. What's the response been like, and what's it like playing with these guys? Are you guys gelling, or is it getting better as you guys play each night?
Yeah, it's certainly getting better and better every set. It's not even every night, it's from set to set. It's, yeah, I feel like I'm really learning everyone's playing decisions, and to me, it's amazing. It sounds as much a band as it does, because I'm brand new in this group, and it feels really comfortable. It's a beautiful thing.
was it like going into the studio with Joey, recording this new music?
Well, it was frightening. It's frightening because I mean it's some really, really complex music, and you really can't tell it because it's so natural. The music that he wrote is extremely natural, and but my feeling going into the studio was, wow, I hope I get this right, you know. But just the recording process was very natural. Once we got into it, I was just like, oh, okay, we're back home here. But it's really, really exciting to hear. You really hear his voice with this new music. You know, it kind of traverses a lot of different styles, and you know, while staying attached to the roots of the music. So.
You know, Joey's also done, you know, some incredible trio records, but this is a quartet now. And, you know, when I've heard the music, I'm, in your part, it goes back to some of those great Jimmy McGriff and George Benson, you know, that chemistry, that camaraderie. And I'm thinking you guys are moving forward with the tradition with this new music.
Yeah, that's the thing. There's so much music out there right now that you really can't ignore, you know, the music of the day. But we have so much reverence for the music that came before us that we can't ignore that either. So the best thing that we can do is try to make sense out of all of it, you know, and that I think that's what we try to accomplish on this record.
Dan, what is it that you're bringing to this group? And if this was a basketball analogy, who would you be, the guard or the point forward?
Man, you know what? I would say I'd be the two guard. You know, because I there's a time when I need to pull up and shoot, but there's also a time where I need to support the point guard. You know, I usually played the three. I don't want to go too far into the basketball analogy, but yeah, I would say it's a trip with this group because it's so. The musicians all have such varied tastes that sometimes your role will change 4 times within 4 bars. So you know you kind of have to be sort of a chameleon. But for the most part, I think I'm playing the two guard. Yeah, you know.
Every night, you guys getting tighter, or is there things that you guys are working on?
Yeah, every night, you know, we're getting more familiar with the music, but. Joey is this interesting thing about his personality. You know, I think people throw around the word genius a lot, but I think he's actually scientifically, I think he's actually a genius. So there are things about his personality that, you know, he's always thinking ahead musically. You know, and you have to be okay with being surprised all the time. So that's one thing. We're never bored on the bandstand because there's always something. You know, I don't really look at the audience because I have to be so focused in on what's about to happen next. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. You know.
also we got to add, this is your debut on Mack Avenue Records, the good people in Detroit. And another thing too, I said this to your band earlier. You've always surrounded yourself with some great musicians on the band stage and also on record. And I got to ask you about putting together a band. One of these things I do in these pieces now, I want people to understand that in order to be heard, you have to have some great musicians to assist what you're doing. And how do you musically put that together?
Well, you have to have the baddest cats, around, man. I got really fortunate. I knew Jason for years. I had known Dan for a while. He was recommended to me by another friend of mine. And it started with that nucleus of the trio. And when I put that together, I had a band that was together for 25 years before. And then for a few years, I was trying different situations. All great musicians. But when I this is a magic combination here, the way these guys play together, the way I feel when I play with them, it's unbelievable. And we have such a good time. It's like a party every time we hit the bandstand. And it's something that's very important for musicians and young musicians coming up now, is that, this is a very serious music, but at the same time, you got to have a good time. Because if you're having fun, that all comes out in the music, that love for one another, the love for the music. And the level that these guys play at, it makes everything easy. I could just hang out, It's like, it's wonderful.
You've been playing this music for about 40-something years.
Mm-hmm.
You were a child prodigy, and now we're seeing the era of two child prodigies right now. We got Joey Alexander, and we also got Mr. Whitaker.
Mm-hmm.
I want your take on how the younger generation is starting to understand this tradition like you guys did.
It's a wonderful thing. And the guys you mentioned, they really are understanding, and they're understanding how you have to have tradition to be able to move forward and be innovative and creative. That foundation is very important. And I see it stronger now than ever. And I'm really happy to see that. It makes me proud.
As a young lion, do you think this new band is getting ready to make it happen for the next generation?
Absolutely. And I know people coming to check it out, it's going to inspire everybody to want to play and go back and check out all the things that came before, because that's what it's all about.
That'll do it again for this very special edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace, reporting from Birdland here in New York City as part of the official New York record release performance party of Joey DeFrancesco and the People, performing music from their brand new Mack Avenue's record release, Project Freedom. People, please go out and support Joey and the band this coming spring and summer, as well as buy their brand new CD, which will be out in March, which you can buy on his website as well as Mack Avenue Records website. I'd like to personally thank Joey and Gloria DeFrancesco for arranging my time with these guys tonight, as well as the staff and management here at Birdland for their warm hospitality. As always, please visit my website, www.thepacereport.com, for my weekly column, as well as my past segments. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Till next time, peace.